Hello, I'm Rodger Marion. I'm a professor here at UTMB. This movie deals with the stories of people who've lived a long time in the piney woods of deep East Texas. My colleague, Tony, and I developed this program to give healthcare providers a glimpse into life spaces that may be new to you. New, but not foreign. Because these folks are just like your grandparents, experienced, wise, and with a lifetime of memories. The movie affords us a sojourn into the past and up to the present. We'll learn the defining events in people's lives and achieve an understanding of who they are today. Join us on our journey into the piney woods of East Texas.
I had 3 sisters and a brother. We had a pretty good sized family, and of course my mom and dad was very poor financially, but we had great life together. I've always said if I had to special order my father and mother, I couldn't have done a better job, because they've been so stable and so good for all of us kids coming up in hard times. And so it's just been I always think about that as a great blessing to have parents like that.
Like she said in the beginning, both of us were raised from the dirt of the earth. The modern conveniences that we have now, neither one of us knew of them until we were just about full-grown men and women. And she was born in 27, I was born in 25, so you go back to we both, I caught 2 years more, basically, of the Depression than she did, and we know about the bad times and the good times. Mm-hmm. So what some people calls the bad times is good times to us. So we can roll with the punch a little bit better than some can.
Well, Lucy came from a great aunt, so I was named after my great aunt, and on my mother's side, and came up farming. My father farmed for years on my grandpa's sharecrop farming. So I was a farm daughter for a long time. Till I guess I was 16 years old when Daddy finally quit farming, started carpentry.
In Texas?
Yeah, right here in Jasper.
Jasper. Wow.
Well, now, we farmed on my grandpa's place in Center, Texas, if you know where that is.
I do.
And that's where we lived till I was about 9 years old, I guess, or so. And then we came to Jasper, and we've been here about ever since.
Great. How old are you?
How old am I now? Mm-hmm. Almost 80. I'm 79. I'll be 80 in February.
Wow, wouldn't have guessed. LD?
I am 80 and be 81 in October. So she has to call me Mr. because I'm older than her. I was given LD as initials only. Mm-hmm. And that came from my dad's name. I didn't know it until he had deceased. Mm-hmm. And I looked at his and mother's marriage license, and it was Lucian Denver Keene was his name. So when World War II came along, well, it became necessary for everybody to get a birth certificate, more or less. It was a good thing to have one. Mm-hmm. So Dad went to work to try to get a birth certificate, and he had been known as Jack Keene all his life. Everybody that knew him in the past knew him as Jack. So he ended up getting his birth certificate as Jack Keene. So I was LD Junior in the beginning, so I had to drop the Junior because LD Senior did not exist anymore. So I've been LD all the way through, and my working associates, 98% of them call me Jack, because I started out as Little Jack, and then I got larger than my daddy, so they just call me Jack and dropped the little. So that pretty well explains the LD, I hope.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's.
Well, I was the only child that my mother and father raised. I had a stillborn brother, would have been older than me, and I had a twin sister that only lived a couple of weeks. So I was raised an only child. And my dad was, I guess, for that day and time, he would be classified as an equipment operator now, but the equipment that he was operated in was the logging fronts, where there were locomotives, skidders that pull the logs from. They had 1,000 foot of cable, and most of them used that 1,000 foot. Skidder operator, locomotive operator, loader operator. That's a loader mounted on a railroad car that loaded the logs on the railroad cars themselves. So I was brought up in my young years in what was known as logging camps, and that's what my dad followed. And my dad was always my big brother until it became necessary for him to be dad, and he definitely could do that. But I was raised up under that kind of an atmosphere that my daddy was my brother, and he treated me as such, and he raised me as such, and I might have been the only child, but I believe Lucy will be in agreement with me that as far as a spoiled only child, I don't think that she can say that I am.
I spoiled you.
Yeah, she spoiled me
I-
more than my mother and
Yes.
father did, and I like every minute of it. I sure do.
Yeah, I tell my oldest daughter, I said, gosh, your daddy's so rotten. Well, Mother, you made him that way, and he's too old to change now.
Any grandchildren?
Yes. That's even great-grandchildren right there.
Okay, oh,
That's
wow.
all of them belongs to one little girl. She's about 5 feet tall and weighs about 98 pounds. All 4 of those belong to her.
Wow.
And then we have 4 grandchildren. Three children and three grandchildren. We had a grandson we had him till he was 11 years old. He was born with a heart problem, and we kept him till he's 11 years old, though. Precious little boy.
And he taught us an
Oh,
awful
yes.
lot in them 11 years, I'll tell you.
Sure did.
Yes, he did.
Well, let's see. I had just gotten out of high school, and I was working at a dry goods store in Jasper. And he came in to see my boss, because they both liked horses.
The man that owned the store.
Yeah, the one that owned the store. And they were talking, and that's kind of how we met. And that's the first time we met, wasn't it?
That was it.
He finally asked me for a date, and I was hesitating because I didn't know him from anybody. So this elderly lady that worked in there with me, I asked her a lot of questions because she was so special person. And she said, oh yes, he is fine. Said, he'll be all right. because I had heard he's kind of wild, you know. And so, anyway, I hesitated to go out on a date with him, but I did, and that was it.
58 years.
We dated 6 months and got married.
And when it started, I had no idea of marrying on my mind. That was out of the question. But the vaccination stuck.
58 years.
58
Testimony
years
to
in
that.
September.
Excellent.
I went to work as a laborer and ended up in the electrical department, and the electrical foreman, he took a liking to me, and he taught me, and he had a lot of books and so forth, so I educated myself in the electrical field, and ended up in less, well, a little better than a year, I qualified myself to become a journeyman electrician. So electrician was my craft all these years. That's what I fed Miss Lucy and the kids with, and gave them what little luxury of life that they got. So I have no military behind me whatsoever. That was one of the most trying times in my life, though, talking about lives and so forth, that I had trouble overcoming. All my friends and everything, I tried, they turned me down. Of course, I was drafted and went down to Houston for examination, and they called me out. So I tried Navy, Merchant Marines, and all of that, but wouldn't nobody take me. And all my buddies were going, and World War II was a little different from now, and considerably different. But anyway, overcome it all.
Well, Miss Lucy, what was your work experience? I mean,
Very short, because about the time I got out of high school, he was ready. We got married, and he did not want me to work. So I have been a housewife.
it's a lot of work.
Taking it, I guarantee you, it is hard work, but I loved it. Took care of our 3 children, and that's been it. And him. That's a pretty good job.
Yeah, yeah. Say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being, you know, perfect health. Lucy, where are you?
Oh. Well, I tell you, other than my asthma, I have been very healthy most of my life. When I turned 77, I took a bad case of asthma, or whatever you want to call it. I guess it's a case of asthma. And he barely got me to the emergency room. So ever since, I've been having a pretty good bit of problems, but up till then I was pretty healthy. I had asthma when I was a young person. I missed 2 years of school because of asthma. And then when I was 9 years old, I didn't have it anymore. I don't know if it's it was just, you know, I didn't have it anymore till I turned 77. Been rough ever since.
It just came up. The air is changing.
I guess. Location, as you know, just a different.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
So maybe like an 8.
Maybe something like that.
Working on that.
Something like that, I guess. 7 or 8.
Yeah. LD, how about you? How's your health? And what are you dealing with your health?
You know, that's a hard question to answer, considering my age and my friends that are up there around my age. I consider myself real fortunate to be as healthy as I am. Frankly, all my co-workers and friends that are around my age, they're not enjoying as good a health as I am. It's been only a matter of a few years that I was so much healthier than I am now, till I feel like that I'm in pretty bad shape right now, but I look around and I'm in wonderful shape.
We both
But-
are really.
But I take a hatful of pills every morning and a hatful every night. But considering all things, I guess I can call myself in pretty good shape.
And
We
We
both
do.
stay
We
pretty active.
stay exceptionally
Yeah.
active for our age, I think now, and talking to our friends and so forth, and seeing the lifestyle that they have. Well, we know that we pretty active, and we know that we're wonderfully blessed, and we try to give thanks for it.
and what kinds of things do you like to do?
I like to work in my yard. I had to give part of that up to him because he has to mow now, and I always love to mow. And I did that until not long ago, but then I like flower beds, and I like to quilt, I like to paint, and I don't like to cook as much as I used to, but I still do a lot of that too. And we used to like to fish, but we got too old for that.
Hunt? Hunt?
Hunt? Oh yeah, we loved hunting together and traveling. We did a lot of that till we got too old. Had to sell our motorhome, sell our boat. So that kind of felt like we was giving up a lot.
Sure.
But we couldn't do it, so we might as well face it.
This change in Medicare since then, like in this past year, besides with the financial in terms of what it's covering and how you're dealing with that.
How are we dealing with it? Not me. I'm not dealing with it very good.
Well, Lisa, give us some of your views on this.
Well, I just know that we're going to run out of, if it keeps on, we're going to run out of funds probably before we run out. That's going to be tough. Because I sure don't want to ask my children to have to help us. That'll be tough too. They will, but I don't want to have to. So that's one of our things we have to deal with and think about. Of course, I think it probably presses on me more than it does him. But I guess it's because I'm a woman.
So just to get an idea, the handle on the numbers, you have like 4 prescription drugs, and you have 4.
I have
Five?
5. I have
Five.
5. That's and besides that, Medicare and our Christian Fidelity, which are secondary insurance, I got a oxygen. I have to have occasionally. I don't have to have it every day, but when I need it, I got to have it. So Medicare and Christian Fidelity is paying for that. We don't have to, other than paying for the Christian Fidelity and all, that $1,000 and something every 3 months. We're not out anything, but we can't feel like we can give up Christian Fidelity because what would we do then? And then of course I have a little nebulizer machine, a little nebulizer. I have to have treatments. That's plus my 4 prescriptions.
And you mentioned the East Texas Health Access Network, Ethan, and that was a big help before.
Very
but
much.
How did that help, and how has that changed now in terms of Ethan not being able to do what they were doing before?
Well,
You want me to
you
answer?
go ahead.
Ethan, this Humana, the cost of being with Humana, that $116.
Plus $30.
The $30 a prescription
Yeah.
for, well, say 5 prescriptions. I mean, I think between the 2 of us, that'd be pretty fair. That'd be $150. That's $250, and there's the other tier 1, say, which is $20, and some of them are $10. But you're in the neighborhood of $300 a month, very easy, that we're putting out now. Okay, with Ethan, it was $15 a month the way we were hooked up and we were getting our medications.
I think if we could find some way to get on Medicaid, I think we would have it made for the rest of our lives. I really do. I think we can handle everything else. But we don't know which way to go. We don't know where to go to find help for that. But, you know, you just need to prepare for it and think about the escalation of everything that is going to come. And when you're younger, you don't realize that. You're just enjoying life and going along, you know, and it just all of a sudden, wow, it hits you. Because everything's so expensive. And whoever realized that I'd be this sick and having to take this much medicine at this age, because I've always been so healthy. Yeah. I told LD, I won't say that on air. You can blank it out, though. I told him, I said, honey, until I turned 77, I could jump a rail fence backwards. I said, now I can't even jump. It's, you know, it's just, you just don't feel like, I'm gonna stay well forever. Yeah.